There's a lot of investment that's happening in the world of AI today. But again, right, we're fairly clueless about how the returns will come in. About in November of last year, Anthropic launched something called the Model Context Protocol. So currently what happens is you might have a lot of sources of data or tools that are out there, right? And LLMs themselves are not very smart, right? It's just essentially a next word generator, right? So if you ask a question based on its training data set, it will just try to give you an answer. It doesn't have any ability to interact with the outside world. And that's what MCP tries to do in a very standardized way. So imagine you have a data source in your organization or somewhere else, right? Let's say you want to find out what is the weather somewhere. In fact, the LLM cannot typically do that, right? Because it's only restricted to its training. So that's where, typically you would integrate a weather source directly into an LLM. And that's where you'll have to make all these interactions fairly granular and one-off, right? So if there are N LLMs out there, and N services or data sources, you will have N into N or N into X, right? Like amount of connection. That's very, very complex, right? That's what MCP tries to kind of solve. Coming back to the $600 billion question, right? Actually, the investment on AI actually makes sense because now LLMs are not just like dumb next word generators. They are actually things that can execute things for you. So you can, query, right? Like, can you find out, right? What are the flights available between Delhi and Bangalore next week, right? In the afternoon, you can speak to an LLM in a natural language, and then it can figure out which resource or which data source to go after. And then based on the data source, it'll give you options, and then you can have a conversations, narrow things down, and then you can execute things. You can actually book a ticket, right? It has access to maybe your payment system, right? So all of this is made available, and all of this interops really well because you have MCP in the middle.